Hi guys, it's me Melissa. Now I've probably heard that fruit is one of the healthiest things one can eat, and I truly believe that, at least for most of them, if it's grown naturally, untreated, and you're getting it directly from the plant. But for most of us, that's not the kind of fruit we are eating regularly. And it's extremely difficult to find fruit that hasn't been treated, stored, or altered in some way. Whether that's from your supermarket, a health store, organic markets, they all go through some level of post-harvest treatment. And I started noticing this when I ate a truly fresh and local fruit, because my skin was fine. But then when I switched back to store-bought fruit, especially the important ones, I started breaking out again. And therefore I looked into this and realized that it's not just about the fruit itself, but what has been done to it. Now, during the summer in Austria, my skin was at its absolute best. No so-called hormonal acne or breakouts. And at the time I was eating local untreated blueberries, either on their own or with sheep milk yogurt. I also ate some tomatoes, bell peppers, zucchini, and on a couple of occasions plums, all grown locally. And my skin remained completely fine. But when I started introducing other fruits like apples, pears, and especially important ones like mangoes and bananas, that's when things changed. My acne started returning. And at first I didn't understand why. Was it the fruit itself, or was it something else? So I decided to cut back on fruit completely for a while just to see what would happen. And what I found was that my acne was at the bare minimum, almost gone. And that's when I started really thinking about what was different between the fresh local fruits picked ripe with short supply chains that didn't cause any breakouts and the important fruit that did. And that led me to research pesticides, post-harvest treatments, and how food is handled. So I started researching what happens to fruit before it even reaches the store, and I've realized something. Most of the fruit we buy is not the same as fresh picked fruit. If you buy your fruit seasonally from a trusted local source, it's different from what you get in larger stores. The reality is, most fruit has been waxed, sprayed, stored in cold rooms, and sometimes even gassed to ripen at the right time. Even organic fruit isn't necessarily safe from this. It can still be treated after harvest, which was something I hadn't considered before. And that's when I realized that it's not just about the fruit itself, but what has been done to it. And the frustrating part, you can't always wash these chemicals off because they can get deep inside the fruit or are water resistant, making it difficult or even impossible to remove even if you peel them. And so I want to give you an example of some of the fruit that stood out to me the most during my experiment. I want to take apples as an example because this was the first fruit that made me question this. I always thought it can't be the apple, it's a fruit, and a fruit is supposed to be healthy. And I would add it into my diet every now and then, but over time it seemed suspicious, especially with the imported versions. And I grew up hearing an apple a day keeps the doctor away, without ever questioning where that phrase originally came from or whether it still would apply to today's apples. The more I looked into it, the more I realized that modern apples aren't as pure as we think, even if you wash them. The wax coating traps pesticides inside the skin, and even if you peel them, many pesticides penetrate deeply into the flesh. That's why if you're struggling with acne, avoiding these apples altogether is your best choice. The other thing I noticed during my experiment is that avocados seem to be totally fine. Unlike the apples, avocados have a much thicker skin which protects them from chemicals like pesticides. And according to my research, they are also treated much less, especially the organic versions. And this might also explain why I didn't break out while eating imported avocados, even when other fruits caused issues. But I still took some precautions when eating them. I would rinse them well with lukewarm water. Cut them in half. Scoop out the flesh with a spoon onto a plate. And wash my hands before eating. I never had to do anything extreme or impractical, just basic handling to avoid unnecessary exposure. And compared to fruits like apples, where pesticides actually penetrate the flesh, avocados were much safer. This made me realize that not all fruit is the same when it comes to contamination. Some fruits like apples are nearly impossible to clean, while others like avocados offer some natural protection. But even with that, the safest and most effective way to figure out if food was affecting my skin was by cutting it out completely. And I recommend testing this yourself. Cut out your food completely for at least a couple of months and then slowly reintroduce one at a time back into your diet, but only of course the cleanest and locally sourced options to pinpoint what food might be affecting your skin. And remember, it's not just about the whole food, it's also in your processed food, such as your pizza, which contains tomato sauce, and tomato is a fruit. Same would apply to your muesli, where you usually have either fresh food, dried food, or even frozen foods in it. Hey, don't go yet! Before you click off, let me know, have you noticed a difference in your skin from eating certain foods or tried cutting them out? Drop a comment below, and if you want to go deeper, join the Skin Diet Insiders to get more personalized help. And that's it, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.